Coming up, let's keep it 100. Y'all really buying Drew McIntyre as WWE champion going into WrestleMania? I got a special guest because we got a lot to talk about as far as this reign is concerned.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Bryan H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Break It Down with Bryan H. Keeping it 100. I got the one and only TWTalking Bout in the building. Man, he is back. Last time he was on here, we was talking Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship, which seems like such a long time ago.
Woo!
But today, we're going to talk about the current champion. But before we get there, make sure if you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications, and make sure you drop a comment in the comment section because I'm pretty sure we're going to say some things you do not agree with.
Yeah. Go ahead, drop some collection plate, brother.
What's up, man? How you feeling?
Good, man. Y'all feel great. First of all, I feel honored to be here in the hallowed halls of the wrestling realm. I should take my shoes off, wipe my feet. You know, I can't believe I'm here. It's nice. I love what you've done with the place. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, man. Definitely appreciate you coming on. The last time, I believe I was like outside sitting in the car and we was recording. But, you know, we got a building now. You know, we got a studio. Drew McIntyre. He's the WWE champion. And it's so funny as the Wrestling Realm celebrates its 10th anniversary this year. I can remember when we started this show, the real Dwayne Allen said, "Nope, I don't see it. I do not see it in him." Because at the time he had I think it was called Shattered Dreams as a theme song. He was the chosen one, and the chosen one eventually found himself a part of 3MB, and then he had to go find himself where he would become a good Impact champion, and he won some championships overseas, came back to NXT, and last year did me a favor by getting rid of Brock Lesnar. But now I've been up and down about this championship run. How have you been feeling about it?
I mean, I'm fine. It's there. You know what I mean? It's there, but to me, it's just nothing special. And that's kind of my whole thing. Like, I mean, this whole conversation came out because, you know, I texted you the other night. I was just looking at Drew McIntyre, and I was just saying to myself, I feel like Drew McIntyre is getting a pass that a lot of people don't get as WWE champion. I feel like if you look back at some of the past WWE champions, the conversation from us, the fans, has been, how you going to prove it? How you going to prove you belong in that spot? How you going to prove you can carry the torch, be the star of the show, all of that stuff, right? You know, going back to Jinder Mahal, it was, oh, hey, this is just a gimmick because they got an India tour coming up. You know, going back to Kofi Kingston, it was, oh, this is just a feel-good moment. You know, Seth Rollins, it was, you know, he doesn't connect with the crowd properly. But, you know, now fast forward, we're here, and Drew McIntyre is the champion, and I feel like people are looking at him and talking about him like he's top of the food chain, same level as Roman Reigns. And I'm like, yo, I don't see it. Like, I don't understand where was the moment where he became, you know, the world's hero. You know what I mean? Where everybody was looking at him like he's this superstar guy. Like, he never had that moment where it was like, you know, there's a lot of wrestlers where I could tell you the moment where they became like a legit main event star to me. Like, I've never seen that from Drew McIntyre. I'm like, yo, this guy's the main event. Like, he's what I gotta see. I'm not turning my channel because Drew McIntyre is gonna be on my TV. I still don't get that feeling, you know, like, again, like Roman Reigns, he's the best thing on WWE TV by far. When Roman Reigns is on your TV, you're not turning the channel, you're not fast forwarding, because what he's saying matters. What's happening with him is the most important thing on the show. And I don't get that with Drew McIntyre, like, not at all. But I feel like people look at him like he's top of the food chain, and I'm just like, when?
So, all right, a lot to unpack there. When he was in NXT, it felt like you wanted, for me personally, I wanted to see him become champion, right? I was like, all right, man, you know, I'm ready to see him get his opportunity because, like I said, this was my guy. And I also wanted to prove the real Dwayne Allen wrong. Like, no, he can be the man. But that moment he became champion, all of a sudden Adam Cole shows up, and I'm like, uh-oh. I don't think I want him. I want him. And I know how you feel about Mr. Cole and Undisputed Era. Look. But
we could derail this whole show right now.
but you know, so that happened. So then we fast forward. He comes to the main roster, and I'm excited. You know, he had a little feud with Roman at WrestleMania 35, I believe. Yeah, 35. And I'm liking heel Drew. And I felt he could have been like a top-notch heel, a big, nasty, somebody that, you know, I know he had his like matches with Seth Rollins, but I thought he could have been like the top heel of the company. So he partners with Dolph Ziggler. And at first I'm like, I don't know about this. But then I was like, oh, two dudes with attitudes. As far as hero, I think for me, it was when he defeated Lesnar. Because mind you, I'm old. I'm newer, old school, quote unquote, not old school as in WWE superstars, but I want to see the championship on TV every week. Yeah. And so Drew was the guy to get that done for me. So I was like, yeah, finally, goodness gracious. So then this pandemic happened. So you know, I'm like, you give him a pass, right? Because this is unprecedented times. He won the championship, but he didn't really get that hoorah moment. Now, granted, if the NBA would have been out sooner, then the WWE would have figured out a Thunderdome. WrestleMania would have been much better. But I understand what you're saying as far as I think the thing is, right? We was in a bad wrestling fans. We was in a bad situation as far as the men's division was concerned from the months of April to August. And the reason is Braun was champion. Who cared? Miz and Morrison was running around being funny.
Yeah.
And then Otis had the briefcase. We was like, is he really? And then Drew was champion and he was facing Andrade. And again, good matches. But to me, Drew McIntyre as a babyface long-term champion isn't what I look forward to, right? Long-term babyface champions, I didn't mind. Well, we would have got that out of Daniel Bryan had he not got hurt. I didn't mind Kofi Kingston, which we know how that ended, unfortunately. But it's really difficult in today's day and age to do that. And I think that's where the issue is. I think it's the fact that he's supposed to be this good guy, and Randy has done a great job at keeping him heel. I love when Randy beat him. I thought that was done so that Drew could try to see if they could get that pop out of him.
Yeah.
You know, but like you said, Roman Reigns is must-see TV. You know?
And I'm glad you brought up Kofi. I'm glad you brought up Kofi because that's honestly like my linchpin here, right? Like that's my thing. Like, look, you know, to me, Kofi Mania, that's the best moment in wrestling history for me. Sorry, it is. You know what I mean? I put it above everything. And
wait, you put that over the night Eugene debuted? Shout out to Eugene.
I remember the day that WrestleMania happened, because I remember I was thinking about going to that WrestleMania.
I was going to ask you, where were you? Because that's the moment as Black people we got to talk about it.
I'm telling you exactly where I was. Okay, so where I was in my resort in Orlando, Florida, because once they priced me out of going to that ticket, it's like, you know, me and Omar, shout out to Omar, and Nate, shout out to Nate. We were looking at, you know, getting some tickets for this Mania. And like, just as it was, you know, we were clicking seats, you know what I mean? The same seats that we sat at in Orlando for a certain price point was way higher. And we was like,
oh, wow,
this ain't happening. This ain't happening. We didn't get cheap seats.
Right.
And so once we realized they're basically pricing us out of you know, I couldn't have that conversation with my wife if I bought good seats to the New Jersey WrestleMania. So I was like, look, we'll just go on vacation instead, right? You know what I mean? So and so we flew down to Orlando that day. We did, you know, a week down in Disney, and but it was the travel day from hell. Like our flight was delayed, so the kids were, hysterical, and you know what I mean. It was just our luggage was delayed, the whole deal, man. And so we was just getting settled in the resort. Finally got the kids to bed. I was like, yo, I'm not missing this match. And so I got it turned on like right before the Kofi match happened. I'm sitting there, I'm watching it. You know what I mean? When the 1, 2, 3 happened, oh my God. And then, bro, the moment when you see Xavier Woods go over to pull the cloth off of, the proper WWE championship, and you just see the tears in his face, man. And I'm like, yo, I felt that, bro. I felt that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you were unveiling the proper WWE championship for our guy. You know what I mean? For the guy that meant something to us. That champion meant something to us. And it was a moment I'll never forget. You know what I mean? Forever, ever. And so, like I said before, they let Kofi have that title for 6 months and did nothing with him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he didn't have good moments, but they never made him the star of the show, right? Like, remember when CM Punk was the champion for all that time and didn't headline no damn pay-per-views? You know what I mean? That's pretty much what they did with Kofi. Like, they did not let Kofi be the star of the show. And I was like, bro, why? Why not? And so then...
Wait, CM Punk did headline... he
headlined... Where he lost the title to The Rock?
Hell in a Cell when he fought Cena.
There's your answer. There's your answer.
Hey, man, he had one job. He didn't do it.
So yeah, man. Like,
I'm joking. I know CM Punk fans coming at me everywhere.
Huh?
I said I'm joking. CM Punk stands are coming at me.
Oh yeah, but see, WWE has a history of doing this, right? Where if they give in to the fans and give you a champion that you want, it's like, okay, we'll give him the title, but he's not going to be the star of the show. It's still our guy's still going to be the star of the show. You know what I mean? And so sitting here watching, and we understand television. You know what I mean? We understand storytelling, right? So you see that Kofi has this title, but he's still a secondary player on this show. You know what I mean? Kofi has the title, but Roman Reigns is the star of the show. And I'm like, that's some bull crap. You know what I mean? And so now Drew McIntyre has the title, and he is the star of the show. And it's doing nothing for me. But they're doing everything to try and make him the star of the show, and I don't see it. Like, no disrespect. I don't see it. Like, I don't like the work that Randy Orton doing. Randy Orton is doing some of the best work of his career. I think Randy Orton deserves to be the WWE champion right now because he's a way more compelling character than Drew McIntyre is. He is. And so again, the fact that Drew McIntyre just keeps getting this spot, to me, like, there's a hint of annoyance there because you never gave Kofi the chance to be that baby face going back and forth. Like, Kofi worked with Randy Orton, and that was a good program, but it wasn't. They didn't treat it the way they treated Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things. Like, once you show me that you're going to doubt somebody and treat them as a secondary champion, when you put somebody up and they're supposed to be the main champion, you got to prove it. Like, Roman is proving it. And Drew McIntyre is being treated as though he's on that level. And to me, he's not proving it.
What would it take, in your opinion? What would it take for him to get there?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I mean,
because that's what people will say is, well, what is it going to take? What would it take for you to buy into Drew McIntyre?
I think you just got to be a compelling character. Like, listen, there's and it doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen overnight. It took 5 years for Roman Reigns to get over, bro. 5 years. And that's like, and by the way, I hate using terms like get over because I'm not a wrestling insider. And, get over means different things to different people. And it really only matters what it means to Vince McMahon. But but when Roman Reigns comes out, it means something. You know what I'm saying? When his music hits, when his intro, the whole deal, it means something. There's no questions asked, right? Excuse me. It takes a while for somebody for a character to feel that important. And I don't feel that same importance with Drew McIntyre. You know what I'm saying?
And I think I think you bring up a good point. Now, here's the crazy thing about Roman. To me, he always, when you heard the music, the music always, like, that's your first intro to the crowd, right? And I think the music always said Roman was important because of the way he was presented through the commercials and stuff. I just didn't think the people rejected him so much because he was being forced down our throats, where now it's like, this is the Roman we want. We're going to boo him because he's doing stuff to make us boo him. You know, and granted, they're in a Thunderdome, but I believe personally that if there were fans there and they were trying to cheer him, Roman would be clapping back. You know what I mean? You go back to Mark Henry. When Mark Henry was the champion, to me, it felt like he was that star. And, you know, he was the star of the show of SmackDown, and he was going out there, and the moment people tried to cheer for him, he said, don't cheer me. You know, it's the little simple stuff.
Right.
You know, to me, and I go back to it, I just don't think Drew is a great baby face. And the reason is, why should I have sympathy for Drew McIntyre? He's about 6'7". He can kick anybody's head off. So what I listened to Eric Bischoff say the reason why it was hard to get the Big Show over because he's big enough. He doesn't have to cheat, you know. But you look at a guy like Kevin Nash. The thing about Kevin Nash, and people can talk about lowest drawest champion. Let's get to the basics, right? Because when Kevin Nash was champion, we were children. We didn't care about that stuff. No. If we were watching wrestling,
I don't care about it now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't
you know, like we didn't.
You're not.
Right, bingo. And as a child, Diesel was cool. Yeah. You know why? Because who was the coolest person at that time? Shaquille O'Neal. And you think about it, and I just thought about this talking. Diesel was champion at a time where Shaq was becoming the next big thing in the NBA, where he had just beat Michael Jordan in the playoffs, and everybody was thinking he was going to win the championship. Shaq was the man. So WWE had their 7-footer, and damn, I'm good. WWE had their 7-footer to compare. People can say, well, Diesel wasn't this, Diesel wasn't that. No, that's not the case. That's why he was Big Daddy Cool.
Yeah,
you know, and I think
but he has personality. Like personality.
I was getting ready to go there.
That's what it comes down to. And here's the thing where, like, again, everybody is so, you know, again, like head over heels over Drew McIntyre. And I'm like, bro, like, I know a lot of y'all don't watch Impact Wrestling, but like I saw Drew as a top guy in Impact Wrestling. And again, not that impressed. Like, not that impressed, huh?
I said, you ain't like him over there?
I'm not saying I didn't like him. I don't dislike him now, but I'm not moved.
That's what I'm saying. You wasn't moved.
Like I'm not like, oh, let me not go to the bathroom. Drew McIntyre is coming on. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not like, I don't feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. And so I feel like when you treat somebody as the top of your show, you know what I mean? The headliner of your show, it needs to be that. You know, and I don't see that. You know what I mean? I don't see that. And I just don't. You know what I mean? Like, he's fine, right? Like he's okay. He's not terrible. He doesn't have like you know, like I don't need to turn my TV when he's coming on. Like, it's not that bad. But I'm just saying, like, I don't see him as like he's not like to me, like he's not like must see TV. And I feel like your champion should be must see TV.
Well, if we can keep it 100. If Drew doesn't walk in WrestleMania with the championship, I'm not going to be upset.
We care. Why would I care?
You know, if Roman Reigns doesn't walk into WrestleMania, I'm like, wait a minute. I hope he not, you know, sick or whatever. Right. But I was thinking about this, and like I said, when you texted me yesterday, it was so funny because I was literally thinking, I'm about to sit here and record something. Yeah. And then I was like, well, shoot, this can be even better if I got company. Yeah. But I won't be upset. And that's the thing, folks, keep it 100. If Drew doesn't walk away, if he doesn't go into WrestleMania as WWE champion, you're not going to be upset.
No, because where's the investment, right? Like, what about his title reign makes you invested? Again, like, look at CM Punk, right? When CM Punk had, you know, the pipe bomb promo, a lot of people got invested because people were like, yo, this is great, man. He's bringing that realistic feel. You know what I mean? He talked that slick talk. You know, I like him because he's not the bodybuilder style. He breaks the mold. You know what I mean? Like, CM Punk had a lot of things. It made you invested. Daniel Bryan, right? Daniel Bryan to me, is the father of the indie style in WWE. But when he brought that style, that nonstop, crazy fast pace, you know what I mean? Just you know, risk it all type of style. When he brought that, to me, it was so exciting to watch. And I remember when I started watching when Kylie Ray was in Impact Wrestling, and I started seeing her work, and she would do that. Like, she had that type of rally that just reminded me of when I first started seeing Daniel Bryan do. I was like, oh, this is exciting wrestling. Like, it is what it is. This is exciting wrestling. And it made you invested. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, that guy on the show, he's exciting. I don't care if he's on the beginning, the middle, or the end. When he's on, I need to stop and watch this because I know this is going to be good. Like, there's the investment. Again, we already talked about Kofi Kingston. There's the investment. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have it. What's the investment with Drew McIntyre? What's the investment? And I'm going to get real. You want to keep it 100? I'm going to keep it 100. The investment is he looks like he's supposed to be there. And you see, when I talk about these things all the time, I talk about like Alexa Bliss and people like that. I always have.
Hey, Alexa, though, doing some of the best work, though.
Casting, okay? Casting. Because in Vince McMahon's TV show, the lead looks a certain way. And Drew McIntyre looks a certain way. And so he's slotted in those top spots that are reserved for only the certain few. And so he's just supposed to be accepted. And we, the audience, who have been absorbing McMahon's brand of wrestling for all these years, we just accept that that's what the champion's supposed to look like. So this guy comes up and they say he's a champion. We're like, okay, he's a champion, right? And it's like, and minimal people question it. And so to me, I'm questioning it. Like I said, there's no investment. Where's the investment?
Wow, where is the investment? That's a good question, man. It's going to be interesting as we move forward into the Elimination Chamber. I'm really believing that it could end there. You know, if it was to end, who would you put the title on if it gave you the book?
Who's in the Elimination Chamber? I haven't seen this yet.
Former WWE champion, so that would have to be him, Sheamus, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, The Miz, I think, and Jeff Hardy. Maybe The Miz is not in it, but I believe The Miz is in it.
How mad would y'all be if it's if Randy Orton wins and people thought we were done with Randy Orton versus Edge?
Honestly,
oh man,
it's so funny. They had what they call the greatest wrestling match ever.
Right.
That might have been their greatest wrestling match ever for both parties. Okay. I got to go back.
It was a good match. It was a good match.
I thought it was phenomenal, but I also thought WWE was smart by not letting AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan have their match on the same show. Because that match on that Friday night was better than Edge and Orton. And Edge and Orton went out there and they still did their thing. But I personally, so why I have you here, who do you want to see Edge challenge for the championship?
Oof, Edge. Who do I want to see Edge challenge for? Oh, Roman. What does that think about? Listen.
Really? Okay.
No, you see, when Roman and Edge got together in the same ring, like, listen, Roman Reigns is the main event. Period. Hard stop. Roman Reigns is the main event. And Edge versus Roman Reigns would be a match we've never seen before. It would create, and this is the greatest thing you can create for wrestling fans, because, you know, in this day and age, especially for us grown-up wrestling fans, you want to create some sort of doubt. That's what, you know, we always talk about big match feel. That's what creates big match feel. When even you and me, the smart mark wrestling fans, whatever you want to call us, the people that, you know, watch it, enjoy it, we know the story, we feel like we can predict it 9 times out of 10. The moments that give us that little bit of doubt, the moments that make us say, I know it's scripted, but I feel like there's some animosity there. You know what I mean? Like, the moments that can blur the line between what you think you know and when you can honestly just say, I don't know. And Edge versus Roman Reigns would give you that. It's a, like we said, it's a first-time match. Winner of the Royal Rumble versus the biggest star. you'd have some honest doubt because, you know, Edge says he's back full time. Is he going to complete the feel-good story, the full-time comeback? Roman doesn't lose anything by not being the champion, so you could realistically see Edge winning this match. Other than that, there's not – who else could you possibly see Roman losing that title to at WrestleMania? You can't. You can't. There's nobody that you can honestly say should be beating Roman for that title right now. Roman is doing the best work of his career so far, and it's phenomenal. So Edge versus Drew McIntyre does nothing for me. Again, like you need two people to dance. Why have one interesting person and one uninteresting person? You know what I mean? Like, to me, that doesn't do anything. Let's put the two. You got two interesting people right there. Those moments where they interacted on SmackDown, how awesome was that?
It was phenomenal, I have to say. I like it. I'm gonna be honest with you because you brought up a lot of good points.
And they've been teasing Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. They've been teasing that, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, I get it, but let's be honest, man. Like, come on, man, that's 5 years ago. That's 5 years ago. It was a great moment in time. It would have been awesome, you know, if you did it right when you had a chance to. But, like, Daniel Bryan's in a stage of his career where he's putting everybody over anyway. You know what I mean? That's just what he's doing. And so, to me, I'm sure they'll have a phenomenal match. Because when's the last time we've seen a bad Roman Reigns match? When's the last time we've seen a bad Daniel Bryan match? Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan will be a great match. You can guarantee that. But the intrigue of Edge versus Roman Reigns, you can't. That's your main event, man. That's your WrestleMania headliner right there.
You got me sold. Shout out to my brother D because he's been on that one. He was saying it's the money. Here's the thing. I think for me personally, you know, I don't want to see that match only. No, it's not that I don't want to see that match. I want to see Edge win the championship. Being an Edge fan, I want to see him win the championship. But I don't want anybody to beat Roman Reigns right now because, you know, fantasy booking or whatever. I want to see Roman go another year and either do two things. Face I done been through it all and I done got to the promise. I'm now ready for be the top dog, Big E, because we never see him as champion. And I want to see a Big E win the Royal Rumble and become a champion. Or I want to see The Rock beat him and they have like that exchange or whatever, right? The Rock reminds him who made the table. But that's the reason why. But listen to what you're saying. Now, like I said, I want to see Edge as champion. I personally would like to see AJ Styles win the Elimination Chamber. AJ Styles and Edge. I could just imagine the match they would have, right? I wouldn't mind another Edge and Randy Orton match. I think at that point, if we got that, we would know pretty much. I think it would kind of be Edge is going to win. It's a matter of Miz cashing in or not, right? But one of the things you brought up when you said Edge and Randy Orton, and this might get a lot of heat, this would be Edge's biggest match in WrestleMania history. And this is why. This match would have the most crossover appeal as far as bringing in the non-wrestling fans. Because in my opinion, Roman Reigns will be, when it's all said and done, a bigger box office attraction than The Undertaker. Undertaker I always look at as a WWE special attraction who, as he got older, became that phenomenon that make people who don't watch anymore tune in. In 2008, he was just a player, man. You know, he was just like, when you think about during those days of the Attitude Era, Undertaker was never the top guy.
That's right.
At that point, even though they main evented the show, Undertaker was not the top guy. John Cena was the top guy. Then you could make an argument the next was Randy Orton. SmackDown was the stepbrother. In this case, Edge would be going against the top guy in the company. Because remember, his other WrestleMania match, he wrestled Chris Jericho. But another thing is, I've said this before. He loses, he runs into the risk of being the only multiple-time Royal Rumble winner not to win the championship at WrestleMania.
That's a dubious distinction.
It is, you know. So I mean, either way, I'm really excited because it's so hard to predict. And you know, this is around the time of year, man, where I cut off all notifications. You know, I don't want to read the dirt sheets. I just want to be a fan. I want to, you know, like when I went to Mania, and you know, when we was down in Orlando, I stayed away from everything. I'm shout out to my brother Corey. I accidentally told him we was getting new NXT belts. He was like, "Yo!" But what happened? I was just looking on the phone. I think I saw it on Twitter. We was at the NXT. I mean, we was at the Access where Regal made the announcement. We was just in another side of the building. We was, I met Dana Brooke that day. So it's definitely intriguing, man. But yeah, as far as Drew McIntyre, folks gotta keep it 100 with themselves. You won't be mad if Drew doesn't walk away as champion. What
would you like to see Drew doing at WrestleMania?
I honestly don't care. I mean, it's no disrespect.
Let's assume he's still the champion going into WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you like to see him face?
AJ Styles. Yeah, AJ Styles. I think AJ Styles could be primed for another run. You know, you might not like to hear this, man, but your boy's a WWE guy now. His greatest and his name established will always be a TNA. But what did he say? This is where I belong. And, you know, Vince going around saying this is the guy I should have signed years ago. You know, we know if he would have signed him at that time, he wouldn't have used him. You say Daniel Bryan's the father of the Indies. I'm even say shout out to CM Punk because he's not living the fruits of his labor. You know, when you think about it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, so here's the thing, though. The reason why I got to give Daniel Bryan this title is because
I agree, especially now. But you
Daniel Bryan changed the way that matches are wrestled in WWE. You know what I'm saying? Like Daniel Bryan said, "Freak it, I'm working this style. This is my style. This is what brought me to the dance, and this is the dance I'm gonna do." And you know what happened is everybody in the back was like, "Yo, why does he get to go out there and work like that, and I got to come out here and do?" You know, what we learned, you know what I mean? And it changed. And now you see it's everything. It's so diluted. You can argue it's a good thing or a bad thing. Well, that's another show, I'm sure. But, you know, Daniel Bryan, you know, I'll have this conversation with anybody. Daniel Bryan changed WWE wrestling, changed it forever for the better,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man. But if AJ Styles, okay. So here's the thing with AJ Styles. Like, this is the toughest thing about being one of the last surviving WCW fans in as a wrestling fans today. Because to me growing up, WWE, WWF was always the other thing, right? That product was just very cartoony, and it was the other thing, right? And so now, like, still being a wrestling fan today, you know, most of the wrestling fans are people who grew up on Mick Wrestling, you know what I mean? McMahon's version of wrestling, and you know, and
I said Mick Wrestling,
yeah. And so like, so it's you know, that's just the filter through which you guys see wrestling, and you found yourself in love with AJ Styles, and you're like, but how can I be? He's a TNA guy. And you're like, no, he's our guy now. And then I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't like, you know, ridiculous ownership of like TNA.
But he got personality.
Like but the thing is like, but I do hate on this idea that nothing you've done matters until you've done it in WWE. I just don't co-sign that. I don't, because to me, like, it is what it is. Like, WWE is the most popular wrestling brand by far, but like, just living in, you know, knowing the world of entertainment, it is what it is, right? You could be the dopest, you know, sportscaster, right? But if you don't vibe with some head over at ESPN and they're not going to sign you, you're going to be less visible. Does that make your work less dope? No. You know what I mean? Does that mean that everything you did before you got to ESPN is invalid? No. You know what I mean? Especially not to the people who watched you do it, you know? So, and that's the way I feel about, you know, the AJ Styles and the Stings and all of that, you know what I mean? Like, so to me, you know, if it makes y'all feel better to say he's a WWE guy, and that's some sort of badge of honor, bestow it, okay? Like make him, bring him into your cocoon and embrace him. But it is what it is. Y'all know what it is. Y'all can act like y'all never heard of AJ Styles before he went to New Japan if you want to. Go ahead, but you know what it is. You know where he got phenomenal at.
Oh, yeah, he definitely got phenomenal over there, and it was the reason that Bruce Pritchard said like what you see out of AJ Styles now is what he was trying to get years ago. And shout out to Anderson and Gallows. Being around those guys. Those dudes are funny, all of them together. So. Yeah. It's cool, I just I had to mess with you as far as that was concerned. But
Impact fans still trolling the internet.
Well, we at the end of the day, man, like you said, we can't discredit. If you're a great wrestler and you made it on television, you sold merchandise. Are we gonna really say, even though she had a cup of coffee, unfortunately she couldn't finish her WWE career? But are we really going to say Awesome Kong wasn't one of the top greatest women's wrestlers or one of the most impactful, So,
no pun intended.
Right. Bull Nakano, even though Bull Nakano, well, she was a WWE women's champion. Aja Kong, Aja Kong.
Gail Kim never did squat in WWE, but she is a phenomenal.
She was a champion. She won champion. She won champion on first night, I think. If I'm not mistaken, her debut in WWE, she came in and beat Trish for the title. I could be wrong.
What year was this?
It was early.
Okay, so this is probably when I was. This is probably my wrestling sabbatical when I wasn't watching. But
if I'm not mistaken, she. How about WWF? We're going to the world of Wikipedia because Wikipedia is always right.
Yeah.
It might not have been her first match, but I do remember, yes, okay, so debuted as a fan favorite. Her first Battle Royal episode with Women's Championship. She won the match by eliminating Victoria. Yeah. So she won in like a Battle Royal. So, it's just unfortunate because she would be, and I'm one of the people, I just want to see everybody getting along because at the end of the day, WWE do hold the biggest network, the biggest market. So why wouldn't you want to see Gail Kim reconcile and work with them in some sort of capacity, because there are so many women that could benefit from being under her tutelage, it just seems
everybody here is looking for a really good, fun to watch women's match. I'm sure you can find it somewhere on the internet. There's a match between Gail Kim and Tessa Blanchard from a few years ago. Great match. It's just if you like wrestling, that's a great match to watch.
You lucky because we don't say that name on the show. But, I ain't gonna say that's not official. I ain't gonna say we don't say the name on the show, but yeah. She's somebody that if I was walking past and she said hi, I'd keep it moving. But her and Sammy Callahan. But that's it,
person.
Huh?
I'm sure she's a lovely person.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. But man, before we get out of here, what are you looking forward most to as we get on the road to WrestleMania?
Oh man, so this is actually this is like a weird. The road to WrestleMania has gotten a little too long because we kind of know what I realized this during Becky's run to the championship. Like we wanted Becky so bad. Like the Becky moment, we wanted Becky and Ronda so bad. And then when Becky won the Royal Rumble, it was like, yes, we still have 4 months. And so it's like, literally you have like, 8 to 12 weeks of TV that you got to kill. And you see right now on WWE TV, they're trying to stretch out the announcements of who the Royal Rumble winners will choose to face at WrestleMania. So it's tough, man. I'm interested to see, what they're going to do with Lashley, what they're going to do with Big E. You know what I mean? Where the black wrestlers going? What type of big spots are they going to create for them? I'm interested to see that. Where's that going? I'm interested to see how they're going to build to Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. That better be where this is going.
I don't know. Bianca looked real good in red yesterday.
Bianca Belair always looks good, no matter what she's wearing, yo. If I can, we might have to do another one to talk about Bianca Belair, bro, because I got some stuff to say.
Go ahead, shoot. We can clip this off. we can get part 2.
All right, so here's my little.
Matter of fact, we're gonna take a break. That'll be it for this episode. Terrence, don't go nowhere. Make sure y'all tune in to the Bianca Belair special coming up later on this week. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Break It Down with Bryan H. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you get notified every time the Wrestling Realm posts new content.